Hi once again, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to do something that I've probably been put on earth for, which is filtering through a ton of Sapphic romances that I've read and telling you about the best ones, specifically in the smutty, spicy, hot variety. And this is decidedly a mission because it's really hard to find them. I have not found a dedicated video for this exact topic on YouTube. So I donned my uniform and I'm ready to work. The first book on my list is Mistakes Were Made by Meryl Wilsner. It's a book that I read quite recently and it immediately made it into the list because the premise itself is genuinely so hot. The book is about a girl named Cassie. She is a university student and she goes to a local bar to pick up women occasionally. And on one of those days, she meets an older woman named Erin and they hit it off immediately. So they consummate their attraction right then and there and do not expect to see each other again afterward. But the fate has other plans for them and they meet each other again the next day. It turns out that Erin is the mother of Cassie's best friend on campus and they have to face the reality of them doing something a bit forbidden behind their loved one's back. Premise aside, the story overall is very spicy and the relationship between Cassie and Erin is very, very passionate. We get a lot of variety in terms of steamy scenes. Since I decided that it's gonna be a good idea to listen to the audiobook instead of reading the story with my eyes, I've spent a good amount of time blushing on public transport while listening to this book. Some of the scenes genuinely made me tomato red. This lady's had a lot of fun. This novel, though, is not an erotica. It is a romance, and a significant amount of time in this book is spent on other things. They are building an actual relationship. They're not just hooking up behind people's back. And the big conflict in the story, as you may guess, is them trying to deal with the idea that their families and their friends are going to shame them and reject them because of how big of an age gap they have. They figure out that they don't only have fun in bed, they also have a lot in common. They are very compatible people romantically, and they struggle with the idea of hurting people around them if they come out with it. So while the book is fun and joyful, it also at the same time has enough tension and angst to properly grip you. I really like this. I also liked how realistically the age gap element of the relationship was handled. It's a really good read. I highly recommend it, and I think I've talked about it so much on my channel recently. You have to forgive me, I genuinely really liked it. The next romance is in my all-time favorites. It's 𝕊𝕆ℏ𝕀𝔸𝕃 Behavior by Dahlia Adler, and it's a new adult romance. I don't know many Sapphic new adult romances. If you know any, tell me about them in the comments down below. It is set in university and it is about Frankie, in her own words, messy pansexual, who is not into the whole serious relationship kind of deal. It all goes smoothly for her, except for a few broken hearts and some drama on the way, until she meets Samara. Samara is the new roommate of one of Frankie's friends on campus, and Samara is just gorgeous, and Frankie just wants her. Frankie doesn't recognize herself. She had never fallen for anyone so fast, if ever, and her tricks are not working on Samara. Samara is very homely, she's very nerdy, She's not the type of girl to go to parties. Samara also is a daughter of a conservative politic, which obviously makes a possible relationship, even a possible fling, harder for the couple. The most appealing part of the story for me is how the bad boy, good girl trope is getting a new fresh take with these characters. I found the dynamic a bit nostalgic even. It's not the only book by Dahlia Adler that I've read, and she genuinely is just good at writing Sapphic sex scenes. So this book is a good romance. It's a good nostalgia type of read, and it also has really good spicy scenes. I recommend it to those that are looking for something nostalgic to read, that want to mentally get back to those college years. If you're looking for something much grittier and less fluffier than that, I recommend, once again, one of my favorites, Her Hometown Girl by Lorelie Brown. It's the third book in the series as well. Each book follows a different couple, so you don't have to read the first two books. The third book follows Tansy, who on her wedding day catches her bride with a random dude that helped organize the event. Tansy is brokenhearted and lost, and she runs away from her own wedding. She stumbles upon a tattoo shop and on a whim decides to pay for one. She looks unwell, so her tattoo artist Kai is trying to figure out what happened. Tansy, it turns out, was in a very long, very abusive relationship with her ex-fiance. The relationship was so controlling and so down in the trenches that Tansy does not remember when was the last time she made a decision for herself. When was the last time she saw her family? When was the last time she was actually considered? Kai offers Tansy her support and friendship, and very quickly into this connection, this relationship, Tansy realizes that she's very attracted to Kai and she wants to pursue at least the sexual component of the relationship. She can't see herself in a committed, serious relationship because of her experience with her ex-fiance, and she believes that friends with benefits, a situationship, is going to be healing for her. This book broke me. It broke me down. I cried. I have to warn you that there is not only verbal assault and gaslighting in Tansy's previous relationship, there is also sexual assault. If you're not ready to read that, put this book away and pick it up when you are feeling better mentally. But the relationship that Tansy builds with Kai is genuinely so beautiful, and they have a lot of kinky sex, which was such an interesting juxtaposition to Tansy's previous relationship. It may seem like this unserious relationship with Kai that is exploratory and kinky and all the stuff that people are usually scared of or find scandalous would be bad for Tansy, but it is such a good step for Tansy in her healing. I loved, and I still love this book. The next two books are by the same author, Rebekah Weatherspoon. If you are watching this video, you are an absolute treasure, and the book that I'm going to talk about is also called Treasure. Treasure by Rebekah Weatherspoon is not a very long book. I would say it's shorter than many romances that are not novellas, and it's about Alexis, who visits a strip club as a part of her sister's hen party. She is butcher than other girls and is clearly interested in women, so the other girls in the group tease her about it. They decide that she's the only person among them that is going to appreciate a lap dance from a hot striptease dancer. So they hire a girl for her. Trisha, or Treasure, is the girl that is hired to give Alexis a lap dance. and they have so much chemistry straight away. Trisha actually also takes note of Alexis and even teases her a little bit on purpose, but they don't expect to see each other afterward. It's perceived by both of them as just a wild, fun night. But they actually meet again at college. It turns out that they go to the same class. And they decide to not ignore what happened and try to become friends, because otherwise it's just awkward. Of course, it's hard to be a friend of someone with whom you have a lot of chemistry with and whom you are attracted to, so of course their relationship develops. This story, even outside of the setting, the strip club, is so hot. I love the conflict in this book as well. I love that they actually come from two very different social classes and they have to grapple with it. It's fun and games in the strip club where they don't have to face reality, but outside in the real world, they have to deal with the fact that Trish dances in a strip club and have to figure out if they're comfortable telling friends and family that, and have to figure out how they're going to deal with jealousy and if they're both comfortable being in a relationship at all, considering all these factors. Very fun, fast read, very well fleshed out characters, incredible conflict, incredible sex scenes. Another book by Rebekah Weatherspoon that I do recommend is Better Off Red. It also is a college romance, but with a twist. The story follows Ginger, whose best friend is trying to convince to pledge to a sorority. Her best friend is very passionate about a specific sorority. I think it's 𝕊𝕆𝕀𝕸𝕃. It's something very basic. And she's been dreaming of getting into it since being a high schooler. Ginger doesn't like the politics of sororities. She opposes the mentality of being in a sorority, of pledging to sorority, but being a good friend requires sacrifices, and she decides that she doesn't want her friend to go through with it alone. So they pledge together. The sorority in question is very prestigious. It's very elite. There's only a specific number of people that can be a part of it simultaneously. There's a lot of mystery around it, and everyone wants to be a member. The last nail in the coffin is that Ginger meets a girl that is a member of the sorority and finds her very attractive. So she decides that pursuing the sorority is worth it because she's going to spend more time with this girl. This sorority turns out to be a secret nest of vampires, and they recruit girls every single year because they need new donors. I mean, this premise is on point. It's so hot. It is so good and so spicy. The girl that Ginger has a crush on turns out to be the queen of this nest, so some extra hot points for that. And the first night that the girls spend in the sorority, the initiation party, is actually a big orgy. Do I have to say more? I feel like I should shut up about it because I'm just spoiling good fun here. So if you want to read some paranormal romances bordering on erotica, this is a book for you. Another very smutty novella this time, Being Hospitable by Meka James, is also unsurprisingly on this list. Being Hospitable has a lot of things going for it. I would say it's erotica, not a romance. The novella is about Charlie and Kiki. Kiki owns an apartment in a big city, and Charlie's brother asks Kiki if she can take his little sister in for a bit because she starts going to uni near Kiki's apartment. And Kiki agrees, not knowing that Charlie had a big fat crush on her for a very long time. Charlie is grown and she is going to make her attraction known. It's a really fun time. It's forced proximity. They spend a lot of time in the apartment together. There are a lot of tense, sexy moments in the story. The chemistry that they have is so good. This is just a really fun and spicy novella. Now, the next novel might seem out of place here. It's One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. This story is getting its place on this list, not because there are a lot of steamy scenes on it, but because there is a specific scene that I have not seen in any other Sapphic romances ever in my entire life. The story is about August that moves to New York and starts her life from a fresh new page. She has some issues with her mom that she doesn't want to resolve. She wants to forget about them and she wants to live a different life. So she moves to New York, gets a new apartment with a bunch of very quirky roommates, and also gets a new job as a waitress in a diner. She has to take the subway to get there, so she spends a lot of time on the same route, and she starts noticing this same girl going the same way constantly with her. This girl is Jane. They meet each other on the subway and flirt, and August, my sweet baby August, immediately develops a crush on Jane. She tries to ask her out, but Jane refuses, which actually makes August hyper-focused on the whole situation and figure out, don't ask me how, that Jane actually is not real, she's a ghost. She has been stuck in time, stuck in the subway. And August decides that she's going to help her. Now, the sex scene that I'm talking about is, you guessed it, the sex scene on the train. Because Jane cannot leave the subway, she's stuck. They have to do it in the public place, technically, in the public transport. Now, there are no people there because it's in the middle of the night, but still. And it's a really good sex scene. I really enjoyed it. Without shame, I'm going to tell you that I've read it a couple of times. So, it's not that the book itself is very spicy and smutty. There are a few sex scenes in it, but that particular one leaves rent-free in my head. So, I'm just going to put it out there. We're getting to the finish line. The next book that I want to recommend is House of Agnes by Fiona Zedde. And this one is a darker book as well. It has darker themes. The novel follows Agnes, who is an owner of an elite brothel she inherited from her dad. Her dad was a bad person, and she's trying to do the best job possible with this business and to actually do things correctly. She is a very lonely person. I guess the lonely is the wrong word for it. She is a lone wolf. The only thing she cares about is her work and her adopted daughter. Sometimes to take the steam off, she goes to this private club and picks up girls that she finds attractive. And one day she meets a girl named Lola. Lola approaches Agnes herself. Agnes is very attracted to her immediately, but Lola is not what she expected. Lola actually asks Agnes to hire her as a sex worker in her brothel. Agnes is very perceptive and she doesn't fully believe that Lola wants to work for her. She feels like there's something shady there and something that she needs to figure out about Lola, but she bites the bait and allows Lola to start working for her. And she's not wrong really, because Lola is looking for the murder of her long-lost sister. When Lola was a teenager, her older sister ran off and started working for House of Agnes and then was found dead. So Lola wants to become a part of House of Agnes and to break it down from the inside. The chemistry between the two is incredible. There's so much tension in their relationship. The premise is on point. The characters are on point. And I also love how much suspense played a part in this story. It's a very smutty, very hot story because of the setting, but in general, Fiona Zedde is so good at building the romantic and the sexual relationship between Lola and Agnes. I have not seen many people talking about it, so I highly recommend it. The last book on my list is Bet Against Me by Fiona Riley, and this is a story for people that love office romances between rivals. It follows Trina, She is a workaholic, she sells property as a job, and she wants to get a prestigious award amongst the realtors. She believes that she spent so many years in that profession and she absolutely and undeniably deserves. But there's a new girl on the scene named Kendall, and she's been making the ranks very quickly in Boston. They do not understand where she came from and how she's doing it, but she does snatch the prize out of Trina's hands, and Trina is pissed. She finds dirt on Kendall. It turns out that Kendall is the daughter of a real estate king that was put into prison because of money laundering. Kendall moved cities, now she's in Boston, and Trina believes that her success is due to her being the daughter of this man. She proposes a bet to Kendall. They're going to take a new apartment complex and sell as many apartments as possible, as quickly as possible, and the person that is going to sell the most is gonna be the winner. They're competing in full force for a prize, but they also find each other very, very attractive. And it's really hard for them to fight against it because they brush elbows so much trying to sell in the same apartment complex. It's a really solid romance, but the sex scenes in it are outstanding. They do really enrich this romance, in my opinion. There's a really, really fun sex scene that I do remember still that is set in the private club where they both go to poach clients from each other. It is in the public change room. People are there. They're just in a different section of the change room. I'm not the one for public indecency, but it was hot. It was really, really hot. I really like this romance, and if you're looking for something simple, something fun, something with the tropes that I mentioned, but with really good sex scenes, pick it up. You know what to do. So these are all the smuttier, sexier Sapphic romances that I've read and I genuinely liked. If you're an adult and if you're looking for something cheeky, look them up. If you have any recommendations for me, you know where to leave them. Please do not recommend 36 Venom because I hated that book. The smutty scenes were good, but the plot, bonkers. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you soon with another one. But until then, bye.